Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? We are back once again. You know what? It must be Thursday because we are on with another phenomenal guest today, and it's going to be on and popping. Okay, so this is Hurdlers of Adversity, conversations with inspirers and maximizers of pivotal moments. And so, what does that mean? That means we're going to be talking with individuals who have overcome some type of adversity. And now, because of that, they are teaching, they are giving back to other individuals. My name is John Register. I'm your lead, I'm your host that's going to walk us through these conversations with these amazing, incredible individuals. So, this is the show where you can get up close and personal with individuals. And before we get started, we have got to know, as I look over here to see who is in the comment section, the chat line, Madonna Long. Thank you so much for getting in, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Hey, did you know Madonna, because Madonna is such a phenomenal individual herself. Did you know that the poet laureate yesterday identifies as a person with a disability? I didn't know that. She has a speech impediment, and so she was working through that. Just found that out today. So incredible. So that's something good that we can talk about in the disability focus programs that will be coming up. So thank you all that are in the chat box. I want to see your names in there. I want to know who's on. We got Mitch Porter on. Absolutely. Micah, I'm sorry, Micah, thanks for your work. Thanks for your work. Absolutely, Micah. Lynn Keir, absolutely, she's on. Lynn, I'm disappointed you're using the first one. You're getting beat. You're getting beat. Yeah, absolutely. Madonna, yeah, she was fantastic. Wow is right. Poet laureate, the youngest poet laureate that was this honor, just fantastic. We'll talk about your yes and no's a little bit later in the program because we want to make sure that you're on. So right now, wherever you are, share it. Share this broadcast. If you're looking at it on YouTube, if you're looking at it in the Facebook groups, if you're looking at it on LinkedIn, please share this broadcast. You're not going to want to miss what this young lady has to say today. I guarantee you, just like last week with Apollo Antonono, just like the week before with Skeets Nehemiah, it's all about Olympians Month, what we're learning from Olympians. And so we want to make sure that you are learning well from these individuals. Cheryl Bingham is on. All right. Hey, I'm so glad you're being able to join again as well. We still got to get out to the incline and walk the incline for sure. All right, so just real quick, for those that are new to this program and don't know who I am, just want to just give a quick overview of how I got involved in this program and kind of what my background is. So at 5:29 in the afternoon on May 17, 1994, I was one of the fastest hurdlers in the country, also in the world, was picked by USA Track and Field News to make the Olympic team for 1996. They thought I was one of the ones to watch. At 5:30 on that same day, I went across a hurdle, dislocated my left knee, severed the artery behind the kneecap, and 7 days later, I became an above-knee amputee. It was my wife who said, you know what, John, we're going to get through this challenging time together. This is just our new normal. And with this new normal mindset, we sprinted forward, began to build again, very micro moments at first, trying to just get up and stand on my good leg for 15 seconds at a time, all the way on to winning a Paralympic silver medal. So a lot of time that went in between that. So how do we get those mindsets back? And it's all about the mindset, how we focus. From there, I built out what became known as the Paralympic Military Sport Program for wounded, ill, and injured service members, which uses sports as a tool for rehabilitation, and a youth program at the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And that turned into Warrior Games. It turned into Prince Harry's Invictus Games. And oh my gosh, we went global around the world, started really helping people to amputate their fear, embrace this new normal mindset to win the medals that are in their life. And so that is kind of who I am right now. And I own my own business. It's called Inspired Communications International. And we teach business professionals just to do that, how to hurdle adversity, amputate their fear, embrace a new normal mindset to win the medals that are in their life. We do this in a lot of different ways. So Cheryl says, you bet. Yep, absolutely got to climb the incline. Almost a mile going up, elevation change out the world. We call it nature's stair stepper. Tom Southall, check this out. Absolutely, Micah. Get Tommy in the house. We want to make sure that we see him. Madonna Long back. You didn't know I was a hurdler? Absolutely. Absolutely was her alert. Okay, so let's get close to getting started. Let's get it started, and let's get it. So I want to know, did y'all check out the inauguration? I mean, I watch them all. I'm a junkie for that because I think the transition. We also say it's transition of power. I don't think it's transition of power. I think that's why we get in trouble. I think it's this transition of stewardship. But I watch them all, so I love to see what's coming in and who's doing what. But Amanda Gorman, holy freaking cow, youngest poet laureate. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I'm trying not to spill mine out, but I want some of your thoughts. What are your thoughts on Amanda Gorman? She's blown up all over Twitter. I mean, she went from like 3 people to over 2 million or something like that. Just crazy numbers. Already got book deals out the yin yang, and just incredible. So, want to know some of your thoughts about her and what her poem that she did yesterday. So I just thought it was fantastic. As we're talking about Olympian strength, yes, asking Madonna Long says strength for sure, 100%. So as we're talking about Olympians and Paralympians this whole month, most folks on Olympians because we'll do Paralympians on another month as well as we get closer to the Olympic and the Paralympic Games coming up. Madonna Long says beautiful and powerful, absolutely amazed, says Lynn, impressed, inspired, so happy. I mean, this, if you don't know anything about this young girl, oh my gosh, she just blew it out the water, this young woman. Being educated was beautiful today. So much to share, discuss with students. All right. Awesome, Michael. So we're going to get right into this. The Olympic model, of course, is Sidious Altius Fortius, which is swifter, higher, and stronger when translated into English. And I like these words because these words are not written in the superlative of the word. It's not the highest form of the word, but they have this ER stem ending on the end, which means that we can be the swiftest today and swifter tomorrow. We can jump the highest today, jump higher tomorrow, be the strongest today, be stronger tomorrow. And the guest I have on today does exactly that. She pushes through, she presses, she is a rock star in her own right, and is just one of those individuals that every time I speak with her, get a chance to speak with her, I learn something. And so that's why I wanted her on the show and was pressing her. You got to be on the show, you got to be on the show. And I'm so thankful that she said yes. She is one of the greatest freestyle wrestlers of all time. She is a 2016 Olympian, 5-time world champion, 2012, 2014, 2015, 18, 2019, 7 times a world championship medalist, and went undefeated in the international competition from 2014 to 2016. Do you think she's got something to share with us? Absolutely. She is the first U.S. woman to win back-to-back wrestling world titles since Tricia Saunders in 1999, and the first American wrestler, male or female, to win 5 world titles. In 2016, she had a 37-match win streak and currently holds the #1 world ranking spot at 76 kilograms. For those that are in America, we got to do the conversion stuff. She currently has her sights set on winning her first Olympic gold medal at the 2021 Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. Please help me welcome my great friend, the amazing, the wonderful, the awesome Adeline Gray. Whoa!
Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for saying yes and being on.
Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Absolutely. So you got a lot of comments coming in already. I'm loving this. You got Cheryl Bingham. She used to work for the United States Olympic Committee. You got Michael Porter is on, Madonna Long. You got Lynn Keir. I mean, it's all over the place. So thanks for
everybody.
And I'm loving the color. I'm loving this color.
Thank you.
You had black hair, I think, and now you're just like, what?
Yeah, the pandemic, I think, affected everyone a little differently, and I was back at home and was like, let's do something different with my hair. So I started dyeing it blonde and all different colors, and now it was red 2 days ago. Today it's pink. We'll see. It might be blonde back again tomorrow. So it's kind of a fading fast color right currently.
I mean, that's quick though. I mean, probably as fast as you pin somebody, you're changing. So you just came back like from Arizona or something. What was happening out there?
Yeah, so my sister is training with me. She's my training partner. And we were able to go out to Austin, Texas for a wrestling competition. And then we flew straight to Arizona and had a couple days of quarantine. And then we got to train with our team. So we created a little bubble out in Arizona at the Wigwam like resort, which if you ever have a chance to go, it's so beautiful out there. I really had a great time. But it's kind of the area that they have like spring training and stuff, but there were palm trees and pools and definitely different than Colorado where it was very cold. I am realizing that winter with 70-degree weather is not that bad.
Not too bad.
The 30, 20 degrees that we kind of have here in Colorado Springs pretty consistently.
So so you're back and, are you back training at the training center? Is that back open yet?
The training center keeps yo-yoing back and forth on if they're open or not. So today, no. Tomorrow, yes. It's currently closed for me, but tomorrow I am open to be able to train. So we just did our quarantine process again and more testing. And I got my call maybe 45 minutes ago that my sister's results came back negative. So we are healthy and we will get to start training next week.
And like, how many times are you getting tested?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. In order to like do your entrance into the training center, you have 6 tests, and then they want you to essentially just like do nothing and just go from your home and see no people, and then go back into training and just do that back and forth. And it's challenging, but obviously we have other people who live outside of the training center that we go and train with. Domestically. And so we've had a couple training camps, like Arizona is actually our first one, but we have a few more scheduled coming up in the next few months because we are trying to do our best to navigate what this kind of world looks like with COVID and wrestling, and still trying to have the same expectations that we had set for ourselves, which is to be prepared enough to win world and Olympic medals. So it's a tall order. And there's a lot of people who are putting in a lot of effort trying to make sure that we're safe and ready.
It seems that, when I looked at the transition that happened like last year, March, and everything the world just kind of shut down.
Yeah.
Athletes, a lot of people were scrambled, right? It was like, I always, what I'm sharing with my audience is I say, this is like me having my amputation. It was sudden. It was a total shift. We're not going back. You're not getting your leg back. For you, how did you handle it? And do you think that because of some of the maybe challenges you may have had as an athlete or maybe in life, what prepared you better for that moment?
It definitely happened fast. I mean, I can only imagine what you went through and how life altering that was. I mean, I lost plans, and that's how I felt, is I had this plan and then everything was gone after that. And so it was, no matter what you had scheduled or plane tickets, I mean, I just spent more time booking things and canceling them than I did doing anything else during that time period. And I was supposed to live at the Olympic Training Center until after the Olympics, and then they closed it and they said leave, and all of a sudden I was homeless, and my husband had just moved from Savannah, Georgia, and was living in a hotel while he was at school. So we moved into a hotel until we figured out a place to live. So I went from thinking I had this great plan and a pretty stable life to all of a sudden being like, Mom, I might be moving in with you. And so she's like, I will have a room ready. And so definitely was a shocking thing. As far as to answer your question, how sports kind of prepared me for it, injuries have always been part of sport. And I had been injured in my competition that was in March. So I had broken a couple of my ribs, and Olympic trials are supposed to be in April. So when we first found out that it might be postponed or canceled, like our Olympic trials, I was like, oh man, it kind of helps because I have a little bit extra time to heal my ribs, but I just don't know if that's really what I want. We don't want this trickle effect of having eventually the Olympics getting postponed a full year. But I did have some time to recover and heal. And once we finally got moved into our home, we did take that time to recover and heal. And so physically, I was able to have some forced rest, and the lack of gym opportunity really wasn't the worst thing. healing for me, because I feel like I overdo things more often than I'm able to just sit and have some relaxation. But then, like everyone, it gets old. So I healed up, my ribs felt better. We still weren't training. All of a sudden we're trying to get creative with how to train in our living rooms, like how many times can you pick up your sister in the backyard? I mean, there was just so many things that we had to try. And I think, like most people, they probably aren't in their best shape right now. And that's kind of how I think a lot of athletes are feeling currently too, is it takes so much effort to get the same results that it is exhausting and draining. And it is a lot harder than having all the equipment and all the people that make your life easier. I think it definitely brought some perspective that the Olympic Training Center and the support staff that helps me definitely make my life easier. And they make things very focused so I can get in and get out and be able to recover my body, where when you're at home, it's kind of always lingering, like, should I go do another workout? Should I go do this? Like, it's kind of like office space where my fitness stuff ends up kind of just being in every corner of the room of the house, where I'm sure most people are struggling to just have their workspace.
Wow. I heard adaptability in there, and trying to lift my sister. How many times did I do it? Lift the couch, lift the car.
Yeah.
There is something to be said. I think one of the things that I discovered, maybe this is a discovery for you. I'd love your thoughts on it. And that the older I was getting in my sport, the more I appreciated the rest. And that was like, I would build that in more, because I knew if I rested more, I could have a better training session the next day. Was that something? I know you said, like, maybe you overtrain sometimes a little bit, or kind of hard to shut it off. Is that something that you are learning now, or is that something that is more heightened for you?
I've done a pretty good job my whole career of hurting myself. And so there's always some forced recovery in that. So I just am not as durable as some of my teammates. And that ends up being a blessing in some ways, just because I push myself Monday, Tuesday, and then by Wednesday I'm on the bike just pedaling, because I can't compete and train when I'm hurt. And so then I spend a few days on the bike, and then Monday I come back in and kind of do that same process. And so throughout the years, I've tried to adjust that. So hopefully I can not just be doing what's recommended in the practice, but
I'm laughing. Here's why I'm laughing, because I need to rest today. I need to get hurt so I can go ride the bike.
Exactly. I have a few teammates who tell me that I biked my way to a few world championships, because they always just see me on the bike. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just really good with cardio, I guess.
That's funny. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on Hurdlers of Adversity, Inspires to Maximize the Pivotal Moments. We are on with the amazing Adeline Gray, Olympian extraordinaire. If you have a question for her, please put that in the chat box. And if you're enjoying this conversation, you just heard something that like resonated with you, put that in your chat box as well, and then tag her on the social platform that you are watching on. So if this is Adeline Gray, if it's on LinkedIn, if you're in the Facebook group, just tag her. Make sure that we're putting her out for her time that she's dedicating to us today to just learn from her. So kind of, I want to kind of go back, because I know some things about you, but I don't want to kind of spill all the beans, right? So I know you have some passions that are there, and to help our audience understand several different levels, right? So you got professional wrestling, that when we're kind of just really starting to rock in there right now. We have Olympic class wrestling, Greco-Roman, we got freestyle, and then we have in between men's and women's, we have women's wrestling. Tell us from the bottom kind of up of what attracted you to this sport, and then help us unpack, what the layers are for why we want to make sure we are make sure we have opportunities for ladies to wrestle.
So I describe it a little differently. You have like professional, the old pro wrestling is what they call it. Like I always call it the hitting the people with the chair thing, right?
Yeah, right.
I always tell people, I'm like, I don't do the hitting the people with the chair thing, okay? I do a very combative sport.
They're doing flips now. Like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Olympic wrestling is separated into Greco-Roman and freestyle, and women compete in freestyle. So my sport is actually freestyle wrestling. I happen to wrestle women. And so we don't have women's Greco-Roman yet. And hopefully one day we will have that. And so we're just looking for expanding those opportunities. And I am very passionate about women and
so help us understand the difference between freestyle and Greco.
Yes, so Greco-Roman wrestling is the ancient Greek Roman wrestling. We used to be on gravel and dirt. And so they didn't touch their knees, because if you imagine you have to wrestle a whole tournament, if you're taking shots and trying to shoot on gravel, you're going to be cut up and bleeding. So what they did is they just wrestled upper body. So once you threw someone to their back, then that person was done. So whoever got thrown got cut up, but then they were finished with the tournament. So the top person never really got cut up as long as you kept winning. So Greco-Roman actually came and spawned from that idea. So they still don't use anything from the lower body. So just picture Greco-Roman wrestling on like a dirt field is kind of how I always think about it. And then you really can appreciate some of the defensive attacks and we call it man strength. It's a much older sport because it takes so much art and competitiveness to just understand how to get a person to open up just a little bit, because that's when the big throws and things like that happen in Greco, where freestyle is exactly like what it sounds. It's a little bit more free. You're allowed to touch the legs, the upper body. You're pretty much have free range of everything. We just don't, the separation between like MMA and WWE stuff is we don't bite, scratch, or punch. So those are we have some restrictions, and the referee, the overall goal is to score points, not to inflict actual damage or danger on the athlete. And so it's I think fits in with the Olympic spirit pretty well, with still being able to be a combative sport, but also keeps our athletes safe enough to be able to train and compete for much longer than some of the some of the other athletes and some other combative sports are. But as far as individual sports go, my real passion is understanding that women, I think, because we are communicative, because we see each other as friendship kind of builders, and we talk so much that we always get pushed into team sports, which is great. Team sports have wonderful things that are that they build. I mean, we all know what the benefits of teamwork can do, but individual sports, I think, are often overlooked for some women, and it's amazing how much strength and power they really can give you, because it's your fault whether you win or lose. Yeah. And that's something that is a lot like life. There's that effort piece that's very hard to blame other people when you don't get that job, when you don't, whatever the thing that comes up is. And I think it's amazing for myself that I realized how much confidence I have that I've built through stepping on that mat and learning how to wrestle and understanding how to train my body to do this difficult thing where no matter what my teammate does, they can't win that match for me. And so it's a very empowering thing. And it's something I wish more people saw, because I think you see our team sports in the entire, across all Olympics and professional sports for women, we have these leaders on those teams. They would have been badasses at individual sports. And don't get me wrong, I think that is one of the reasons our team sports are so great. But if you have some personalities on there that I believe are trying to fit a mold of what we believe women in sports should look like. And I think that in another 10 or 15 years, putting those women into positions like tennis or fencing or wrestling is going to be more apt, and they're going to learn how much power and strength that individuality can really provide them.
Yeah, I like how you said, I was very much similar from different experiences. So I was actually shifted from a team sport that I actually loved and wanted to do, and so coaches got together and forced me into another area. I have another question, but there was one that came in as I look at the chat box. I wanted to just make sure that came up and wanted to see if you get your thoughts around it. But first, I got to give a shout out to Missy Wells. She says, Adeline, you were great.
Hello.
So thanks, Missy, for jumping in and saying that. Micah, athletes are strong mentally and use physical activity as a healthy form of medicine. How have you managed and kind of mental health challenges you may have experienced kind of through the pandemic? That's a good question there.
That is a good pandemic question.
Let me get rid of that one too. Okay, so we'll come back to that one.
So as far as mentally and physically, there was only so much I could control kind of in this pandemic era. And a lot of things were just on Zoom is really what I think most of us got used to. And so many of us are zoomed out, but we definitely utilize that tool as well, being able to still get together, and there's still a building block that you can do with a network. And so I really focused on some meditation exercise, and then just tried to accept that I wasn't going to be able to do the same amount of training and get the same amount of reps. And so how could I capitalize in other areas that maybe I don't usually have time for? So we set aside some film watching. It was kind of fun in the mornings. My whole family, I live with 3 other adults. And so we would sit in the living room and like watch some of my old matches. And then they would say things, and we would like demonstrate different ways you could do that move and why it was the correct decision, or what a better decision would have been. So it felt very fun to have wrestling be just like the entertainment for the morning. But sometimes we'd watch like 2 hours of wrestling in the morning and just be able to do that. And then I got very structured with my meditation practice. So I had a scheduled meditation in the morning. We had a scheduled visualization in the afternoon, and then a group session. And that was multiple times a week that I was meeting with a group of fellow athletes and working on that brain muscle and how to kind of break down some of those either past traumas or future fears, and try to make sure that I'm in the best place possible. So I didn't stay as physically fit, or it's difficult to. I have access to one of the best facilities in the world, and I didn't have access to it. And so when you don't have access to your normal equipment, you have to make alterations and figure out where to kind of still get your bang for your buck. And I really felt like mentally that's where I was going to be able to make major steps forward. And so that's where I got in. I'm 32 days consistent of doing my morning meditations today. So
that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, really, because I've always been saying, during this whole pandemic time, and all the pandemics that have kind of happened, whether it's been racial injustice or the political contentious election, all these things that have had global impacts for us, is that developing some type of a ritual, that ritual will lead on to your rhythm, and that rhythm will elevate you to a rise in life. And so, I love that you are doing that. And great question that was there. Madonna has a question too. But before we get to Madonna's question, we're going to shift gears a little bit. And I got some rapid fire JR's flash round with Adeline Gray. We started this last week with Apollo Ono. Also was at the training center too. But 5 questions and maybe a bonus that we may do. Let's see. I want to see. Micah says that's right. Hey, Micah, thank you so much. Thanks for being on. So this is Flash Round with Adeline Gray. Just going to do off the top of her head 5 questions. And then if she wants, she can ask me 5 that I don't know that are coming as well. All right. So here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Number 1, favorite movie snack.
Movie snack. Oh my gosh, it's sitting right here. These Stacy's pita chips.
Stacy's pita chips. Okay. Number 2, most unique mode of travel you have taken.
I guess an elephant.
An elephant. Love that. Number 3, best teacher ever.
My head coach. He's just been there for so long. Yeah.
Awesome. Number 4, who took you to prom?
Prom. I went to like 12 proms. There's a list.
I want to ask you to help. I want to have you ask them all of that. all those. This one. Then I have to go back to your husband. Well, I got you on my refrigerator, so got both. Thing is still there. And so thanks for y'all service. I know you're because you're in the military. He's in the military. Person you would most want to hear next from on this show.
Next, I think you would have really a good time with my teammate Tamara Mitsa-Stock. She is just a bubbly ball of joy, but you have to be ready for anything. Like sometimes she answers her door and I don't know, like her grandma will walk in and have a whole conversation with you.
I love it.
There's just crazy things, so it's definitely unexpected, but she would be fun.
I love it. We can do expect unexpected. We'll get her on. Okay, we'll talk about it. Then bonus number 6. the most interesting question that you have been ever asked?
Ooh, most interesting question. I just got recently asked what my favorite quote was, and it's "Don't let your name get buried in the sand." And my sister actually got it engraved on a coffee cup for me, and it's a pink coffee cup, so it matches my hair. But the interesting part about that was she just was kind of picking my brain on why that was such an important statement, and it was kind of cool to dive into why certain quotes kind of resonate with you, and it was it was good.
Awesome. So what Adeline will get, thanks for playing, is going to be this. This is the handy dandy JR's letter opener, because we're always opening up mail here. It says, embrace your new normal. I'm not sure if you can see that. Embrace your new normal mindset. So that's what it's what's on right now. And that's going to be coming to you. So we'll get your
Thank you.
Or I maybe just walk down the street because you're right down the street.
Not too far.
So thanks for playing that. You got 5 for me? If you got 5 for me, I'll go.
I don't have them written down, so they might not be as eloquent as yours, but I think I have a couple for you.
All right.
So the first one is like, is this your favorite hat to wear for these interviews?
It is my favorite series of hats. I have black, white, and red. So yes.
Do you have a favorite of those though?
Black.
The black one? All right.
Black on black and black.
Next one. And then how many of these interviews have you done?
Oh, great question. Probably about 25.
25. And who's been your favorite besides me? So I know I'll be out the top after this.
I was going to say Adeline Gray.
You can take me out.
Okay, but my favorite is always the next one.
The next one. Oh, that's an interesting, thought-provoking one. All right. I know you're going to have Bernie Sanders on with his mittens.
I love that. He's just chilling. I love that.
That'll be my vote for that. And then what's the favorite thing your daughter's ever made for you?
That my daughter's ever made for me. Wow.
It can be a meal. It can be a kid's.
I think it's a feeling.
A feeling. Ooh.
Inside of the movie theater when we were, when we were pre-COVID, and she's done it before on the couch too. But it's just kind of one of those moments where she just lays over on me.
Oh.
And she made me feel just. I'm not going to get emotional. But yeah, I think that's it. That's how she made me feel. So she made me feel that way. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that 5?
I think that's 5.
That's 5.
I'm going to say it's 5. Hey, thanks for playing that round. So we have Lynn loves the flash round. Look at that. She loves flash round. I think it's also a great conversation too. Micah had to leave. We had a question come in, but one person said, going back to the kind of previous in the show, we were talking about earlier about Amanda Gorman says that this young woman reminds her of their daughter Ashley Janae. Part of Miss Amanda's speech spoke volumes. Being American is more than the pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair. You talked a lot about today how you repair after an injury. And when you kind of look at this kind of big picture, take us out into, what that might mean when you talk to a business group or maybe post-Olympics, and how do these moments prepare you for other things that might come in life? Like, how are you preparing even now for a life transition that might be coming up?
I think part of it is that's one of the reasons I'm actually still doing sport is I felt like there was still some learning to do when it came to just being a little bit more flexible mentally and registering what I have going on either emotionally or externally and knowing how to take that next step forward. And so mentally, I think that's what meditation's been doing for me is allowing me to recognize what is going on and how to either adjust that up or down. And I'm very good at that at sport. I would say that's one of the best things I do is on competition day, I have a few tools that I use to either get more nervous or less nervous or more confident. And I have kind of this good gauge and barometer. And I have these moments that I check in with myself and I know, okay, you don't care enough right now. What can we do to care? And I know I'm a competitive person. So I do this weird thing where I sit myself in front of whoever I'm about to wrestle and I like watch them, and it feels very like you're just staring at this person, but you're watching them, and these are amazing athletes. They're strong, they're powerful. You're watching them hit their best techniques, and I allow this nervousness and competitiveness to kind of build. And most people would be pushing that uncomfortableness away, and but I let it bubble up, and I let it feel uncomfortable, and I force myself to realize that I want to win. And it's interesting because I think you think of, I'm a 5-time world champion, about to make my second Olympic team, like winning should just be what I want to do all the time. But sometimes I don't want to be there, and that's normal. It's a job to some extent. And I think a lot of us feel that way in life or in our marriage, and whatever the situation is, you just get uncomfortable or you just don't want to be in that moment. And I feel like sport has been a great way for me to understand that I have a lot of control of asking myself what's happening, what tools can I use to get myself to a point where I care more, and then get my job done. And that's been very eye-opening, and I think very powerful to understand that even doing something fun, like getting to beat people up on the Olympic stage, can still have moments that are too scary and too uncomfortable that you don't want to be there. And half the people are like, always tell me, they're like, how can you do this? It looks so scary and it looks so uncomfortable. And like, how could you not just want to run away all the time? And to those people, I have, I guess, a different technique for them to get myself less nervous from that setting. And so I have the opposite, where I like put my headphones in, and I really like Boss Baby is my like cartoon choice. And that's the show I watched before the World Championships, like just chilling there in the back, just making sure I'm checked out mentally and allow that energy to lower. And I think those tools of practicing them at these elite level competitions and then understanding how they affect me can be used in lots of different settings, whether it's waiting. My grandmother recently had a surgery, and like feeling that uncomfortableness was there. And how do you lessen that so that anxiety is not there as heavy? Or how do you adjust your feelings so that you can manage and maintain, presence in that moment, so you can get your job done, whatever that is at the moment.
Yeah, that's powerful, because I think it goes back again to what you were saying earlier, with having these things in place and then practicing them at the highest levels, so that and this is what I love about Olympians and Paralympians, right? Because an athlete that competes at that level, when they kind of hang up the shoes or spikes and get ready to, enter life again as a kind of quote unquote non-athlete performer, then I think that is one of the things that, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why this thing keeps on bringing. I think that's why we're so good for businesses, and to come into an environment and it's like go time, and it's really kind of hard to hold some back, because if you haven't been to that level, if you haven't been to not just the games, but maybe even to like a medalist, it's really challenging to understand what that psyche is like. I think other people get it for sure outside of Olympic sport. I think there's, what are you going to go to the zone, or you just in flow. But there is a way that you can call that up at a given moment, or pull it back a little bit, right? You can dial it back, you pull it up. And if you're doing it at the highest levels, you know how to do it in a very easy level. And you're like trying to get everybody else, come on board, come on, let's go. And they're like, what are you talking about? This is difficult. This is hard. I just want to watch Boss Baby. It's kind of like that. And so I thank you for sharing that, because I think that will really help a lot of individuals during this time. So I have a phrase that I came up with, this quote, as I've been going through the pandemic and really kind of going deeper in my life. And I'm going to ask you the quote and just kind of ask you to kind of what does it mean to you afterwards. But first, before we get ready to go, I know we have about a few minutes left here. is, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remember that we're talking with Adeline Gray, Olympic wrestler. Your foundation, you're with what's wrestle like a girl. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I remember it. Okay. So I want you to be able to bring that in as well. So if you're enjoying this conversation, you learned something from Adeline, please put her in the chat box wherever you're listening from. Just put her @ in there, follow her. Just a wonderful young lady. She's going to be in the Olympics. She's going to do it all. She's going to be rocking. 2021. You can get into, a 5-year cycle. I mean, that's because we are operating quads, and what that's like. Maybe next time. But the phrase, kind of the quote that I had that was coming up was for my audience and presentation is this. I say that the jump is the jump, and it's really referring to the courage we have to make a decision, and then act. So once we think about the decision we want to make, then we have to act on it, and people get stuck in between that. So I say when hope and faith outweigh the object of one's fear, you will commit to living life courageously. So what do you think about that? What comes up for you in your life when a statement like that is made?
So my husband always says 2 feet. Like, he just commits. He's very good at that. He's a very black and white person when it comes to choices and decisions. He doesn't really dwell on missed opportunity and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because whenever we're discussing options and choices that we have, because there's a lot of choice within my career. Like, do I do this tournament or not? Do I go on this competition? Do the fear of, possibly catching COVID in a foreign country keep you from going to that tournament? I mean, there's a lot more happening in this moment than has ever really been happening before. Yeah. And he just always says to me, like, 2 feet, like, once we decide what we're doing, we're going to jump in 2 feet with that. And so I think it's a very empowering statement from a standpoint of, you don't weigh those opportunity costs as heavily, and you don't get stuck on, like, oh, well, my friend decided to have a baby and now she has this cute little infant. Like, that's an opportunity cost that I gave up committing to another year. Like, my husband and I were supposed to be starting a family this year, and now I'm looking for a 6-pack. And it just is a very different transition than baby bump, it is. I mean, but those thoughts are still kind of going through my head on family planning and understanding where and why my choices are what they were. And so it's I think that quote, that 2 feet statement, really stuck out to me in a sense that you got to really commit and make your decision and go for it. And I think that's what we're all trying to do is, commit to those goals and make sure that we are doing what we can to make them as fun as possible, but also as impactful in our lives for getting what we want out of them.
Well, I'll tell you, my wife and I had both of our children in the month of December. So the month of March was very fun for me. So I wanted you to bring in and wrestle like a girl real quick. And I think it really answers this question that Madonna Long is talking about. And that is, how do you bring wrestling to young ladies? And, what's your thoughts in bringing your foundation into that?
Yeah. So one of my good friends, Sally Roberts, started an organization called Wrestle Like a Girl. And you can definitely find them on all my social media platforms. Their colors are pink as well, and pink and green. But their really mission is to build leaders through wrestling and young women especially, and getting them introduced to this individual sport. And so I think the best thing I would tell people is just go out there and try it. Like, luckily the environment is changing right now, and people are you have to let us wrestle, first of all. Like, the laws are on our side. So but there's also a movement happening where a lot of coaches are being willing to open up their skill sets of teaching wrestling and teaching these life skills to another athlete, which just happens to be a young girl. Mm-hmm. And so I would tell a young girl to find a friend and go try out for her wrestling team. It's really fun. You get to find out how to be creative. You get to find out how to be strong. It kind of brings in a lot of different elements from other sports, as far as knowing how to move your hips and understanding strategy of competing against another person. Like, it's always something new. It's very difficult to kind of map out what's going to happen. And so I definitely think it's something that can spark someone's interest and find out what their strengths are, because everyone has something to offer in wrestling, whether you're strong, whether you have leverage, whether you're fast. I mean, there's always some skill set that you're going to be a little bit better at somebody when you step across that mat. And I think it's pretty cool for these young girls to see that whether their flexibility is an asset or their speed or just their knowledge of how to know where their mat awareness is. It's neat to see their eyes kind of light up and know that they did something good in that moment.
Wow. Wow. I like how you said know where their hips are, because like Shakira, the hips a couple of the comments I want, then when I come back from these comments, I would invite you to just share how people can find you. So one person here is saying, Catherine Oxford says, love Adeline's message. She's giving you some prayers and a heart there. Cheryl Bingham is saying, love the 2 feet. Don't just go halfway, commit and jump in with both feet. I jumped in with 1 foot, Cheryl, so just want to let you know that. And then Catherine also says, it sounds like Adeline isn't trying. She is doing, living 2 feet. Adeline Gray. In, of course. And I think Catherine's over in Australia. I believe that's right. So how do people find you? Where do we go to get you?
Yeah, so thankfully most of my social medias are just my name, @Adeline Gray, and so just follow me on those. I also have a website, graytogold.com, and it really just links you all to my social media. So just it's going to be an exciting year. There's a lot of things happening, and my hair color is definitely going to change. So if you don't even care about women's sports, you can at least be intrigued about how my hair is going to transition from color to color. So that could be at least a little bit exciting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We have Olympic trials coming up. We have a dynamic. My sister is living in the same house as me, and she has kind of put her life on hold to help me accomplish one of my dreams, which is to win an Olympic gold medal. So you'll get to see us fight a little bit, and you'll get to see us be friends and kind of have some very like sister goal things. Like we get to go
love.
Yeah.
Love. I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you.
I get to actually hit her though, so I think some people are kind of envious of our relationship, because I get to physically harm her at times when she's making me mad, and then she gets to help kind of pick me up and put me back together when I'm not doing so well. So it's like a perfect dichotomy of like sister goals, because we get to do these really cool things, but also have to do a lot of hard work and effort, but it's kind of fun to have her along for the ride for that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Hey, yeah. Thank you so much for being on today. I'm so think the world of you, and I wish you all the best of success out there. And the trials are what month? What
April. Well, who knows? It's COVID year. So.
Yeah, who knows? So
I don't plan anything this year. I don't know.
In July, the trials will be in August. Okay, so
yeah. The Olympics currently are set for late August.
Cheryl says, "Go for the gold," and then Catherine says, "I can relate to the hair color change. I just did hers to usher in 2021." Very good. All right. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Close the show out. Please give congratulations to Adeline, and as well as make sure that you're putting her out one more time, just to push all their social media channels and say what a fantastic conversation. What you learned, the one thing that you have learned from this conversation. So stay on for a second. I'll get your address. I'll get ready to send that stuff over to you, but I want to get ready to close out the show, everybody. So say bye to Adeline real quick, everyone. Say yeah. Bye. So that is the one and only Adeline Gray. Wow, right? Just incredible. What a phenomenal young lady. So we have things that are coming up. We just want to make sure that you all know what is going on. Next week, we have another Olympian. We have gymnast coming up, Michelle Ducer-Farrell. So she's here also in the Springs area, has been running the Olympic and Paralympic Museum, as well as the president of the Olympians and Paralympians Association in Colorado. Second, if you want to learn more about what is going on and having more conversations with me more regularly, instead of this week-to-week basis, we can go to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/amputate fear. If you just do that, we'll let you into the group, and we have some pretty good conversation. We'll do some polls in there, and we just want to make sure that everybody's helped during this time of transition that we all have. And then finally, remember that you each are the inspirations. Inspiration leads on to motivation. Motivation in turn causes actions. Actions lead us to transformational results. These results re-inspire us or allow other people that are watching the process to actually catch the vision. So remember that you are that inspiration. If you're looking to be a better storyteller, we did put out that book during the pandemic called 10 Power Stories to Impact Any Leader. Journal Your Way to Leadership Success. It's out on Kindle right now. Just go out there, download it. It's 10 of my stories, but they're impetus stories to get you, catalyst stories to get you to write 10 stories of your own so that you can make it through these times better yourself. So 10 Power Stories to Impact Any Leader. Journal Your Way to Leadership Success. So go forth, inspire your world. Go is your command, forth is your direction, inspire is your vocation. Because this mission belongs to you and you alone, only you can do it. And world, this is your sphere of influence. See you back here next week at 3:12 in the afternoon, Mountain Time, 5:12 on the East Coast, 2:12 Pacific Time, because you got a lot more work to do. And we will see you then. So go forth, inspire your world, everybody. Bye for now. See you next week.